Well, another month has passed since the last installment, which means it's time to bring you another update to the mock draft series we do here on this channel. Every month I post a mock draft for the 2021 NBA Draft, where I keep you updated on where the top prospects currently stand, which players are improving and moving up draft boards, and which ones are currently sliding. A lot of basketball has been played in this span, and most notably we saw the beginning of the G League season, where we have several top prospects competing this year, so it was great to finally see those guys in action, and for the most part they've all been playing pretty well. The order for today's mock draft is based entirely on the current standings of the NBA too, just so you don't think that I made it up off the top of my head. Before we start though, it turns out about 67% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. Starting at the bottom of the lottery and working our way up to the number 1 pick, with the 14th pick in the draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Franz Wagner from Michigan. The Grizzlies have done very well making the most out of their picks value-wise in recent drafts, and taking Wagner here would add on to that. Wagner is another player who has steadily increased his draft stock as the season has progressed. He's a very well-balanced player that can make plays in a bunch of different areas, and he's a consistently efficient and productive player for Michigan. Next up, with the 13th pick in the draft, the New York Knicks, who own the Dallas Mavericks pick, select Daishen Nix from the G League. As I said at the start, we finally got to watch the G League prospects live in action in recent weeks when the season began, and Nix has definitely been a standout at the point guard position. He's a true floor general that focuses on making the right plays and setting up those around him, but he's also demonstrated a solid ability to score the ball as well, having just had a 26-point game a few days ago. He gets a bit overlooked because of how much talent is on the team around him, but I am a fan of his game certainly. Next, with the 12th pick in the draft, the Chicago Bulls select Jaden Springer from Tennessee. Springer is one of the youngest players in the class, and early on in the college season he looked a bit lost at times adjusting to the level of play, but lately he's really been producing at a high level, and he's doing it by attacking the basket with more success, making more of his perimeter shots, and comfortably creating offense. He's a big upside play in the draft this year, and teams will be intrigued with his potential. Up next, with the 11th pick in the draft, the Atlanta Hawks select James Bouknight from UConn. Bouknight has unfortunately been sidelined recently because of injury, but before that happened, he was proven to be one of the best scorers in the country. He's putting up over 20 points per game, he's incredibly crafty with the ball in his hands, he gets to his spots with ease, and he converts at a pretty respectable rate. He will be returning soon, so we will be able to see him build on his resume before the draft, and especially considering the fact that he's the type of player capable of putting up 40 points in a game, that should bode well for him. Next, with the 10th pick in the draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Sharife Cooper from Auburn. Cooper was forced to miss most of the beginning of the season, but ever since his return to the court, he's brought life into this Auburn team and has been producing at an elite level. He and Trae Young are the only college freshmen to ever average over 20 points and 8 assists per game over a 10-game span. He's on pace to break Ja Morant's record for best assist percentage of all time, and he's just a naturally gifted playmaker who would fit in very well alongside players like Ziaire Williams and Brandon Ingram. Up next, with the 9th pick in the draft, the Sacramento Kings select Moses Moody from Arkansas. Moody is the best 3-and-D prospect in the class. He's shown a strong ability to knock down shots off the catch and off the dribble, he rarely turns the ball over, and overall, he's a very mature player for his age who should continue to grow and develop at an impressive level. Next up, with the 8th pick in the draft, the Houston Rockets, who own the Miami Heat's pick this year, select Ziaire Williams from Stanford. Williams has had to deal with a lot throughout this season, starting with the fact that he was sidelined for pandemic precautions before the year, then he injured his knee and had to play with a brace on early on, and then once again, he was finally starting to hit his stride, but was sidelined again because of protocols, so the inconsistency in his play that has been happening is at least somewhat reasonable, but at his best, very few players have looked as promising as he has, which is why I'm still comfortable having him in the top 10 of this mock draft. Up next with the 7th pick in the draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Scottie Barnes from Florida State. Barnes is a jack-of-all-trades combo forward that gives you a little bit of everything, and while his shooting isn't necessarily reliably consistent yet, he has shown that he can make perimeter shots every now and then. He's a dominant and versatile defender, a great passer for a forward, he finishes strong around the rim, and he has an excellent feel for the game. He's been compared to Draymond Green because of this, and if he comes anywhere close to playing like Green at the NBA level, he'll have a great career. Next up, with the 6th pick in the draft, we once again have the Oklahoma City Thunder selecting who owned the Houston Rockets pick, and with it, they select Jalen Johnson from Duke. Johnson just announced that he would be stepping away from Duke for the remainder of the season to focus fully on preparing for the draft, and when you consider how bad Duke has been this year, you can't really blame him. He has all of the physical tools you could want from a forward, he's a versatile stat sheet stuffer who plays hard on both ends of the floor, and would fit the Thunder timeline perfectly as they continue to stockpile assets. Now to start off the top 5, the Orlando Magic select Jalen Green from the G League. Green had an off night to start the G League season, but ever since then he's been soaring and playing some great basketball against the other professionals in the G League. His quickness, explosive athleticism, finishing, and overall scoring ability is looking as advertised, but the one thing I'd like to see him do a better job of is knocking down his threes, as he's been struggling from that regard. The top 5 picks are all so talented in this year's draft, Green being at 5 should not be taken negatively, but instead it's more of a positive for those that are above him. Up next, with the 4th pick in the draft, the Washington Wizards select Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga. Suggs began the season on fire, but as time has progressed, he's cooled off a bit. That's not to say he's played poorly by any means, because he's definitely having a terrific season this year, helping lead the #1 team in the country. But as I've seen more from the other top prospects, I've started to slightly favor a few others above him. Suggs is tough, he's a great playmaker, his quickness and athleticism stand out, and he's a good shooter who can play either guard position, which will help him at the next level. Up next, with the 3rd pick in the draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Jonathan Kuminga from the G League. Kuminga has looked incredibly comfortable in the G League, and his impressive strength, agility, quickness, and craftiness demonstrates how hard he's been working on his game since the last time we saw him live, because he's improved a ton across the board. He's been a tremendous two-way player, dominating against other professionals, which is exactly the kind of player the Cavaliers could use, and they'll definitely take a long hard look at him. Next, with the 2nd pick in the draft, the Detroit Pistons select Evan Mobley from USC. Mobley is the best big man in the draft by a wide margin, and he's got everything you could possibly want from a big man in the modern NBA. He's a 7-footer with a ridiculous 7'5" long wingspan, he's very mobile and plays phenomenal defense protecting the rim, he blocks a ton of shots while being smart enough not to chase them and commit fouls, and offensively, he's very good in the pick and roll and can also space the floor a little bit. And finally, with the highly coveted #1 pick in the draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State. Cunningham started the year viewed by most as the #1 prospect in the class, and he really hasn't gone anywhere throughout the season. He's a big 6'8" point guard with elite court vision, playmaking ability, and creation. He's a versatile defender, his scoring ability from all 3 levels have been better than advertised, and he really doesn't have any major holes or weaknesses, so the Wolves, I don't think, will hesitate to take him at the top spot here. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who you would want your favorite team to draft this year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.